Hey, today's Ed Talk is about shame. This is a tough talk. If I could describe to you the weight of shame that I've carried with me for so many years, you'd be shocked. You don't see me like that. And I'm pretty certain that the shame that you carry is completely unwarranted, friends. You can imagine, especially if you struggle with Ed, if you have an eating disorder, the shame is so embarrassing. And it makes you feel not worthy of love or not worthy of compassion. You feel like you deserve what you get when things don't go your way. Not go your way, but go well. You feel like every time somebody says something negative or you get some negative feedback, you're like, yep, that's right. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it to be thought of well. And it's just a lie. For so many years, oh my gosh, I was just nobody knew for a long time that I had an eating disorder. I was so ashamed. I felt like such a hypocrite, like going around pretending that my life is great, or just feeling like I had to keep up with someone else, or had to look like someone else, or I was ashamed that I didn't look like someone else. I was ashamed when my house was a mess. You have these things. For me, it's things like my microwave being dirty. I know we're all going to get over it. I know it's not true. But what are the things that you carry? I carried shame for if my children acted a certain way in public. I carried shame for not thinking that I was attractive enough to be with my husband, which is not his opinion. I carried shame for debt. I carried shame for not doing wholesome meals with my children. I carried shame for the days I didn't recycle, because some days I don't. And it's just too hard, and I throw the peanut butter jar in the garbage can. I carry shame for not putting enough time into my business when I was selling Norwex. I carried shame for not exercising enough. I carried shame for not following through with diet plans. Oh my gosh, you guys, the shame from diets. How do they make you feel, really? Like, if you're doing okay and you're following the plan, does that make you feel good, or does it feel like you just have to keep going and you can't handle not continuing? I carried shame for things like not wanting to lift weights. I hate lifting weights. I love running. But I carried shame because I didn't like both, or I couldn't do it the right way. I carried shame for all kinds of things. I mean, I used to carry shame for an outfit I would wear, or the fact that I like to wear two pieces, or that I felt ashamed. I grew up and live in a very conservative circle, and I carried shame for some shows that I would watch on TV. I carried shame for not helping people enough, or I carried shame for the things that I would say that come off wrong and hurt somebody's feelings, because that's not ever my intent. I just never, ever want to hurt someone. It's not my personality. Shame is tough. Shame leads to, for me, it lead to binge eating and then purging and then more shame because I purged. And how could I be a productive human being if I am purging? I mean, the physical side of that is just, the reality is very discouraging and shameful. So when I started doing these videos, my mom said she watched a couple, and I think she watches all of them. And she said something that was just so hit home for me, and that was that shame dies in the light. And as I'm on this journey of recovery, for me, sharing this with you, getting out there in the light has been so freeing. Because guess what? You, the one who can't force yourself to eat anything because you're terrified of being overweight, you, the one who binge eats because you feel like you can't handle life and you just don't know how to cope, you who binge eats because of trauma that you've buried for years and you don't know how to deal with it, or grief, the things that you struggle with, or you who, like me, binge eat and then purge because you're just so obsessed with looking the way you think you should look that you treat your body that way. So in your journey, in the shame that you're carrying right now, oh my goodness, ladies, you can let it go because you are okay. There's nobody that you need to impress. Your job as a woman is to come to your life wholeheartedly. You're to show up with your children and show up with your husband and show up at your job and be you, because otherwise you can't be anybody else. All the things that you feel shame for, and even if someone has said horrible lies to you, you need to figure out what that means for you to let it go. For me, it's remembering that I'm created to be me. And that, you know what, if my microwave is disgusting, it still works, and it's not somehow indicative of my value. If tonight I decide to binge and purge, guess what? I will tell you guys, but it's not going to change who I am and what I'm worth. And putting this out there has been so freeing because I knew that I don't have to be ashamed. I want to be better, but it's okay if I'm not. I'm still as valuable. So one of the things I think that if you are trying to do this thing, like kind of try to figure out how to find value in yourself, one of them is starting by being vulnerable and honest with someone that you trust. Because you're carrying the shame that very few people, and they don't count if they're going to judge you for it, very few people are going to judge you for. Just like we talked about last time about talking to yourself like you would talk to your friend. Oh my gosh, if somebody came to you and said, I have a really horrible eating disorder and I cannot get a handle on it, I've been that person and it's okay. But if somebody came to you and said that, what would you do? You would hug them and you would love them and you would walk with them. So one of the things to start showing up in your life, to start realizing that you don't need to carry the shame, that you are good enough and that you are worthy of being accepted and loved and valued just because you're human, even with all the mistakes you've made. Tell somebody that you trust. Tell somebody that you know wants to walk with you. You can tell me if you want to. And you can go online and you can find help. And there are confidential places that will talk to you. There are some free ones. I go to a recovery group online. It's a video session, and it's from this wonderful woman named Amy. And the site is called Bring Your Brokenness. And you can go to the recovery group and just kind of dip your toes in and see what it's like. because you can heal and you can recover. I am healing and I'm recovering. And it was really, really bad for a really long time. So we got your back. There are women like me who just want your best. And so I want to leave you today with a challenge, like always. You know, don't talk to yourself like, or only talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend. And then maybe it's time to start saying some things out loud. Just think about that. Mull on that. I only want what's best for you. Pick somebody that you trust. Because like my mom says, she's so wise, shame dies in the light. And it's one of the surest ways to let it go. So I encourage you to just be strong and be brave. It's so hard and it's so scary, but you can do it. So don't let that shame sink in. And if you can't do it, don't be ashamed. Oh my goodness. You're in a different place in your journey, and that's okay. But for those of you who are ready to take a step like that, you can do it. I'm here for you. I'm cheering you on. Just be real. Show up. Look at this thing that you're dealing with and ask for help. So that's, oh my goodness, it's a long video again today. Sorry, I just have so many things to say. But I hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy the sunshine. And that you tell somebody. That you'd figure out if you're ready to tell somebody or not.